And welcome back, RFCLA fans, to the podcast. Of course, as always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and I've been trying to get this guy to do an interview with me for the podcast for a while now. As soon as his name was announced to be joining our squad here in 2025, I was so hyped for it. So, without further ado, I'd love to introduce our guest here, Reece Lightning MacDonald. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for having the time, especially because right now I know we are near the very end of our 2025 regular season. We have a very important game coming up, which of course we'll be talking about with Utah. You just came back from DC where there was another a great game. We were just talking a little bit about what happened, unfortunately, where most of us were not able to see the game. And power was out apparently in your area as well. But the boys did it. You guys did it, pulled it off.
Yeah,
A great game. What was the energy like in the locker room after the game?
yeah. No, the boys are buzzing. Obviously, going up to DC, we always knew it was going to be pretty tough. They're a great team. They play very similar to us. Throw the ball around and stuff. So we always knew it was going to be tough. But yeah, no. Afterwards was pretty awesome. Obviously, knowing that we kind of clinched a playoff spot was huge. But no, it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling.
Right. And then, like you said, we did clinch the playoff spot first time in franchise history, which is great. And of course, you having, and we'll talk about this, you having a little familiarity with postseason play here in Major League Rugby. I'm sure your experience with that helps the team tremendously here. But again, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get near the end of the interview. But let's take it back a little bit, Reece. Get to know you a little bit more. Born and raised in New Zealand. Now, again, the podcast here is an RFCLA podcast, but it's also a podcast to kind of introduce the game to American fans who aren't too familiar with rugby. So, and I don't want to say that all of us Americans are very close-minded when it comes to the rest of the world, but talk a little bit about your childhood with New Zealand growing up. Is rugby more prevalent when you're growing up in New Zealand and compared here to America?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're growing up in New Zealand, like everyone plays it, so it's like the number one sport there. So as a little kid running around barefoot playing rugby, that's kind of what you do when you're younger. Yeah, so I think just growing up with that, watching the All Blacks, watching all the NPC, watching
Mm-hmm.
all the Super Rugby teams, how well they do, you just kind of want to aspire to be that. So I think that's a big thing. Like you watch them on television and they're so idolized around the whole country that you're like, wow, I want to do that. So I think, yeah, just seeing them, what they get up to in the community and stuff, you just want to be like them. So it's a huge thing in New Zealand, and I guess it's similar to in America where it's like you've got NFL, you've got
Mm-hmm.
ice hockey, you've got
Right.
baseball. Like that's kind of what we see rugby as.
Got it. So you started with club rugby. I have some notes here from Aratoka and Tapuma, and then the big one, from what I understand, and again, you'll probably have to talk us through this. You were able to play with the Bay of Plenty Streamers
Yeah.
in 2018 for the National Provincial Championship. How big is that? Because from what I understand, that is kind of like the big thing for your area of where you grew up in New Zealand.
Yeah, so straight out of college, I was lucky enough to get picked up with the Bay of Plenty Steamers Academy. So that's kind of the regional rep footy. It's one below the Super Rugby, called the NPC. So I was in the academy for a couple of years there, played a couple of games for them, and really that kind of is the stepping stone, I guess. As you leave school, you play NPC, then you try play Super Rugby, and then obviously the All Blacks, and that's kind of the tier three
Got it.
competition. So yeah, I was lucky enough to be involved with that straight out of school. Played through their age grades before moving up to the professional men's team. So it was a cool experience. Got to represent the region that I grew up in. Play with some awesome players, and such a good quality rugby.
So now, from what I understand, with the way that your life ended up going, but before we get to that, so was the plan then in your mind, once you got to the Bay of Plenty, was it now obviously you'd end up going Super Rugby and then hopefully you'd be able to get the jersey to be an all black? Was that what was going through your head as the plan?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of always been the plan. You know, you want to do those stepping stones. Really grinded away in the academy. You were in most days at like 6 a.m. You train in the mornings, then obviously go off to work or uni,
Hmm.
university, which I did, and then you'd come back in the
Oh wow.
afternoon, and then obviously play on Saturdays before the actual season started. So it's a lot of work, a lot of hours went into it, but absolutely loved it.
Great, great. But now in 2019, it seems to me maybe a little bit of change of plans. You find yourself in Australia playing with the Shoot Shield. Talk us through that. How did that come about?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I spent about 4 years in the Bay of Plenty. Did the age grade stuff, was in the academy, and was playing decent amount of time for like a lot of the development team. Got a couple of caps for the NPC team, but at the same time, I was doing my studies, finished my studies, and I was just like, look, I'm not really getting a look in as much as I thought I was going to, and the
Mm,
opportunity came to move to Australia, Sydney, play shoot shield over there. As I'd finished my degree, I just thought of a change, just to, new lifestyle and new kind of challenges, and yeah, loved my time in Sydney.
interesting, interesting. Now, walk us through this again. Talking as an American, I don't know too much about the Australian New Zealand culture. I do know that there's quite a bit of a rivalry, especially when it comes to rugby, between the Aussies and the New Zealanders. Was there any kind of cultural change or shock for you to have to now play a few years in Australia after doing everything you've done in New Zealand?
No, not really. Kind of was pretty similar. I was lucky enough in the Bay of Plenty. It was Tauranga, Mount Maunganui, which was kind of similar to the lifestyle of Sydney, I guess.
Mm,
And I guess no, it was very, very similar. The style of rugby, if anything, was a little bit different.
okay.
A lot more, I guess, fast paced,
Ah, I see.
wide to wide kind of attack and stuff. So I think culturally, no, it was pretty similar. We almost say like Australia's our bigger brother. It's another
Mm.
state of New Zealand and vice versa. So I think that was a pretty easy move for myself. But I guess just the rugby was slightly different. Yeah.
Got it, got it. And from what I understand, you did pretty well for yourself playing for Gordon over in Australia for a couple years. You ended up being, what I understand, by 2020, the top scorer in the Shoot Shield competition, or at least one of the top scorers in the Shoot Shield competition, and also picked up the Shoot Shield in 2020, from what I understand.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah, yeah. So I was lucky enough. My first year, kind of was obviously a little bit of hit and miss just with COVID. So the season got delayed a couple of
Got
months,
it.
but managed
Sure.
to get a full season in the back end of the year, and yeah, I was lucky enough to win the whole competition. Pretty special feeling, and then the following year, actually was managed. Went back to the final, lost unfortunately,
Mm.
um, but managed to pick up the top point scorer for the whole competition.
Nice. So not so a little bit of a foreshadow of the success that you're able to have here in
Yeah,
Major League Rugby in the States. So now let's talk about that. So 2023 comes along. Walk us through it. Where was this opportunity now? Or before that, was Major League Rugby even a thing in Australia and New Zealand? Did you guys know about it? Was it even on anybody's radar at that point?
yeah, yeah. Funny enough, the coach who got me over from New Zealand was Darren Coleman, who
Oh, well, there you
who,
go.
who obviously pretty well, I guess, with the
Right.
Giltinis
From
and
the
his
Guiltinis, yes.
success. So I
Mhm.
was actually, funny enough, I was in his ear trying to get over when he was coming over. I was like, can you
Ah,
take me with me, kind of.
got it.
So I knew obviously a lot of it. I followed it pretty hard. I knew a lot of boys in and amongst all the different teams.
Sure.
So having played with the likes of Mahe, Vailamu, Harrison Goddard, like they were always telling me how good the rugby's getting over there, and that's kind of an opportunity that, like, if it comes along, you should 100% take that. So yeah, obviously hearing that about it when the opportunity did come in 2023, through a coach, an old coach who used to coach me back in Bay of Plenty, um, was the forwards coach for New England, and just got chatting to him and kind of went from there.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So now, at the time, was it only because of your connection with the coach that New England was the option, or were you up for playing for anybody at that point in Major League Rugby?
Yeah, for sure. I was up for anything. Like I said, I just saw the sport growing so much. The amount of attraction it was getting from boys in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, everyone was saying they were trying to get over there. So just chatting to a couple of teams. But then, yeah, like I say, just that connection with one of the coaches at New England just drew me there.
There you go. Now, okay, so now coming over to America, I'm assuming now there might be a little bit of a cultural shock there. Was there?
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty different. Boston's a beautiful, beautiful city. You got a lot of Europeans there, a lot of Irish people
Sure.
and stuff. So I guess the city itself was reminded me similar in a state to Sydney, the city itself. But obviously the biggest shock was just the weather.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty cold over there.
Yeah,
Pretty cold over there.
yeah, for sure. Training indoors for the first three months of the
Mhm.
season was pretty hard. Yeah, inside a big bubble, but once that was done, yeah, it was pretty awesome.
So now you came into New England, and of course, we all know that 2023 started what looks to be a pretty good run for New England. Won the championship, defeated San Diego, a very close game, 25 to 24,
Yeah.
and then you were nominated and won the New England Free Jacks Rookie of the Year award. How did that feel, getting that? And that's an award that is the nominee is picked up by the players of the team themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel that's a pretty big honor. But how did it feel getting that Rookie of the Year award?
Yeah, it was awesome. It kind of, yeah, it was pretty special, I guess, because that was the first time I'd really was playing professional rugby
Mm.
year round, kind of. So to really give it my all, and I said to myself, look, this is an opportunity that you've been waiting for years now. So to be able to, I guess, yeah, give it all, go full in, and get recognised by I guess the organisation and all the other boys was pretty special. So just gave me that drive, I guess, to just keep getting better, and every year you take it as it comes.
And you just set it up because to get better every year, your next year is, I mean, obviously you have many more years in Major League Rugby, but the following year was your breakout year, I feel, in the league itself. 10 tries, 1,535 meters, which was a record at the time. I think it might still be for New England,
Yeah,
with the most meters eaten by a player. And of course, you won back of the year by the league itself. And of course, then New England ended up winning another championship against Chicago, against Seattle at the end. Was the mindset going into that year that you're going to really, this would be your year, or did it just naturally just happen?
I think, I guess, coming off a strong season the year before really gave me the confidence to kind of just keep playing how I was. Finally had a good proper preseason, I guess, without any kind of injuries and anything. And I look back, kind of that's where I can take a lot from how I started the season. Had a really solid 2 month preseason that I hadn't really done before due to like playing sevens and getting a little bit injured and whatnot. So I
Got
think
it.
just taking that confidence from the year before, feeling fresh, just really let me kind of, I guess, just play freely and enjoy my footy. That was the biggest thing. Like every game was a part of, was just really loving it, and I think that just reflected on the field.
Awesome. Now, again, we mentioned before you won a shoot shield competition, and now you're here winning not just one, but two back to back Major League Rugby Shields. How hard is it, though, to win a championship in a professional league?
Oh, it's hugely hard. You look at the comp, like this year, last year. It's so close. Every game is coming down to the last few minutes. kicking. Yeah, it's harder. But I think the biggest thing is you just take one game at a time. Especially, I guess, us going into the finals now. We're not looking ahead in 3 weeks' time. We're looking at Utah this weekend and
Mm-hmm.
just focusing fully on that. And if we do that, I guess the result will just take care of itself.
There you go. Now, I believe your contract with New England was only 2 years to begin with.
Yeah.
So now that we're wrapping up with New England, was your mindset always to stay in the league, or was there other opportunities? What was going through your head at the end of 2024?
Yeah, it's always been, I guess, just to play the highest level of footy as I can. I managed to pick up an NPC contract after last year with the Manawatu Turbos,
Mm,
and I think just getting back into the New Zealand rugby was a goal of mine, and just to see how I go there. But I think, yeah, I guess the goal is just like I say, is just to represent the highest possible rugby. And yeah, that's kind of what that's been my goal. Like I said, from when I was left school, it's just to enjoy it, and then obviously just play as high as you can.
got it. So then, where did the opportunity to come to LA come from?
I just saw the team, how well they did the year before. I saw the coaching staff that was getting put together. I spoke to a lot of different boys that were coming over, and I just thought, you know what, this could be a new challenge, something different, different lifestyle change up, a lot closer to home. My fiance, she lives in Sydney still, so I was like, look, we can make this work a lot easier. Can come over for a few more times, I guess. Potentially stay for a lot longer. So I think that was kind of the driving force behind the change. It was just something new and challenging.
Got it. Now, let's be honest though, was the weather also a key factor here in your decision going
Oh,
from LA and Boston?
yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm a big beach kind of guy. I love surfing and
Sure.
stuff. So, yeah, no, that's that's just a bonus, I guess.
There you go. Was it now you mentioned about the coaching staff you brought together because those of us who are CLA fans know that after year one we had a big coaching change.
Yeah,
Stephen Hoylesy, and you mentioned your connection to Dennis Coleman, who was the very first LA Guillotines coach, but also too he worked with Stephen Hoylesy, who then succeeded him as the next Guillotines coach, now coaching for RFCLA. So was it because of that familiarity with what some people might see as an Australian style footy in RCLA? Was that kind of the driving force to maybe wanting to sign with LA?
yeah, for sure. I saw, like I said, what they were putting together over here. The style of footy is an exciting brand of footy. I'm a big player that likes to attack and run from anywhere, and
Very true.
that suited me. So yeah, just like the idea of coming here. Like I said, new challenge, and the people that they were bringing in, some of the I guess the experience and the caliber of some of the players was just exciting to be part of.
Awesome. Now, before you were able to officially make an appearance as an RCLA member, you did have to recover from some injury. I believe it was your knee. Was it your knee that was
Shoulder,
shoulder?
shoulder.
There you go.
Yeah,
Shoulder. You had the surgery. Um, you've mentioned before that you've had to deal with some injuries going into a preseason and into a season, whatever competition that you're playing with. Was that going through your head coming into this season, coming off of the shoulder surgery, coming in a little bit into the middle of the season?
yeah, for sure. I always knew it was going to be a challenge. Obviously, when I decided to get the shoulder surgery, it was a big call. I dislocated my shoulder 3 times that year, so I was just like,
Oh,
need to get on top of this and get it right. So yeah, it was a pretty tough first few months, but started getting on top of it. Was just eager to get back, and yeah, it's been a bit of a disruptive preseason start to the season, but I think now kind of towards, I guess, this back end of the season, I'm finally finding, I guess, some more minutes, some more confidence, and then some form, which is what you want, I guess, at this time of year.
yeah, and again, I mentioned when I first got to meet you and interview you after our win at home, just your presence makes such a difference. You have just all this energy, and I feel you have that game changing presence. Like literally, the tone and the mood seems to change when you come onto the pitch because you're coming off the bench at that point. So I
Yeah,
think you're a great addition to the team.
yeah, I like kind of priding myself on that. Is whether you're starting or on the bench, is just bringing that energy and kind of trying to spark the boys up. And I think it's you need someone like that on the field just to really get the boys going. So
Awesome. Awesome. Now, of course, we mentioned it before. Big game coming up this weekend. We got Utah. Um, we do know, of course, we have a playoff spot, but there is, depending on how things go out, a possibility of maybe hosting a first round playoff. Does any of that go through your guys' head on that, or is it just we just got to win?
no, for sure. We've spoke a little bit about it. Obviously, if you do win, there's a potential of having a home playoff. So I think it's huge. Like you can see from when we play at home, the fans and the community that comes alive. It really does help
Mm-hmm.
in the field. And it's been awesome. Obviously, at the Free Jacks, there's such a big community there that
Yes.
and then coming over here, it's kind of it's replicated. And I'm a big believer is like if the crowd is cheering and going wild and stuff, it really does help the boys on the field. So no, I think it's we have talked a little bit about it, but then also it's just got to put the performance out there, and then the result will take care of itself.
There you go. Now, you don't have to reveal anything. Don't want to give away any secrets because I know you guys are diligently preparing for this game with Utah. But let's talk about that game. What is the strategy going into that game, going to play in Utah at Zion Stadium?
Yeah, I think it's just backing ourselves and the way that we play. We found a good rhythm and good connections at the moment within regards to our kicking game. Whether we run it and stuff, we know Utah is a big
very physical,
physical forward pack. Last time we met them, they really showed us how strong their maul and set pieces. So I think we really stepped that up in that area. So if we can front up there and then just stick to what's been working and stick to the style that we play, I think stuff will happen and should put in a good performance.
That's awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit more about you, Reece, outside of rugby, or unless rugby is all that consumes you, because I know some people, rugby is everything, 24/7, it's life. But outside of rugby, do you have any other hobbies? Do you have any other interests?
Yeah. I like I said before, I love surfing. Brought my surfboard over from Sydney. So I'd love to get in the water. There's a couple of other boys that also love to get into it, and then a bit of golf as well. Kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what I've been hearing. That RCLA has become a golfing team. That everyone loves to play golf.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a good activity, on the off days to get out and about.
And LA is not a bad
recovery.
place. Yeah, and LA is not a bad place to have a golf. I mean, we have lots of golf courses.
Exactly. So we're often on there on the days off. This evening we might go to the driving range and hit some balls. So yeah, no, it's a nice way to just kind of switch off from rugby, relax, and not too hard on the body.
Sure. Now let's talk a little bit more about your teammates in RCLA, and maybe we'll even talk some more about your former teammates with the Free Jacks. Coming into the squad, there's been not only with you coming in, but there's been a lot of new people coming into the team, especially a lot of young talent. Is there anybody so far? I mean, we're almost at the end of the season, but has there been anybody of the younger players that have really stuck out to you, and you kind of looking at them like, hey, they might become future superstars here in Major League Rugby?
Yeah, for sure. My roommate actually, Leo, he's just unbelievably strong and I guess the front row is notoriously known. The older you get, the more experienced and better you are. But he's just his experience already just shows. He's got such a bright future. Likes of MJ. I can't believe he's actually 21.
Yeah, Mateus, he's young.
He's pretty handy. So yeah, I think like you say, there's a lot of young boys. They've all really stood up. Makes me feel a little bit older as well. But no, I think the talent they're coming through this LA team is just it's exciting for the years to come.
Now we've played a couple of games with the New England Free Jacks. I know you unfortunately missed the first one that we did.
Yeah.
But when you get the opportunity, I've spoken to some of your other RCLA teammates, like Andrew Coe specifically, he loves playing against former teammates. Is there anybody with the Free Jacks that you don't mind maybe facing on the opposite end of the pitch now that you guys are not on the same team anymore?
Yeah. I guess I'd back what Cody says. It's always fun playing against old teammates.
Mm.
You can kind of, I guess, get into it with them a little bit more. But knowing after the game, you'll shake hands and have a good beer with them. So I think honestly, the whole team I got along with so well. So anyone in the back line, anyone of the nines, I was good mates with all the nines, John Poland.
Oh yeah.
But it's fun. It's always good to, and also I guess if you can get on top of them. But yeah.
There you go. Now, of course, we talked about this very physical game rugby is, and the training is very physical. Is there anybody on the team that you would not want to take a hit from when you have to hold those tackle pads?
Oh yeah, there's a couple of big boys. Semi Kuntani, he's
Oh yeah.
that I often find myself running into or away from. But he's solid. And then yeah, I guess Matt Heaton, Ben Strang, a lot of the loosies on the wide edges when we're 15v15, I'm often find myself running into them, and you definitely feel it.
There you go. Now we're going to be wrapping up the interview, and again, I appreciate your time, Reece, very much so. I know you've been very, very busy, but I really appreciate you giving me a chance to talk to you about this. Again, as I mentioned before, this podcast is also an introduction of rugby to an American audience that are not too familiar with it. So and I'm sure you get this quite a few times, somebody came up to you and asked you, hey, you're a rugby player. I don't know anything about rugby. What is this rugby? Why are you so into it? What is it about rugby that made you fall in love with it?
Yeah, I think it's just being able to go out there and play against people of all different sizes, shapes. There's a position for anyone, and then I guess just the brotherhood that forms within the team. You've got not just the 15 boys on the field at the one time, but you've got the reserves, you've got the players that don't make the 23, the match day 23, and that off-field kind of connection and culture is one of the reasons why I absolutely love it. You form friendships for life, regardless if you met someone, for 3 weeks in the team or 8 years. You consider them as I guess one of your brothers. So no, I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I do feel that unity really speaks volumes in a game like rugby, which I don't know, maybe it's an American aspect. Just we don't see it too often with some of our American sports. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. Really cool. Well, Reece, thank you very much. Like I said, for your time, I do appreciate it. Before we sign off, if you want to give out your social media tags for anybody that wants to follow you.
Yeah, I guess just my Instagram, Reece MacDonald. Not the biggest social media person, but yeah, it's on there.
It's probably for the best nowadays.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
for the best. So, all right. Well, again, Reece, I appreciate it. Good luck to you and the boys. Utah this weekend, big game. Finish the season strong, and then we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll have a game or two back home in LA with the playoffs.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. No,
but thank you, Reece. I appreciate your time, brother. Really do. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
And thank you, fans, for watching the rugby podcast. I do appreciate your support. And as always, I'll see you guys on the pitch.